σου στενός, παγωνιά και γκρίζος ουρανός, μαύρη ζωή, βράδυ πρωί, μια συντροφιά, μια συννεφιά, υπομονή, υπομονή, υπομονή. Κάνει υπομονή κι ο ουρανός θα γίνει πιο γαλανός. Κάνει υπομονή, μια λεμονιά ανθίζει στη γειτονιά.
President of the Alexander the Great, chapter number 29, it is our pleasure to welcome you to what I hope will be an annual event as we call to mind the service of the military veterans, not only of the U.S. Armed Forces, but also of the Greek Armed Forces. I was recently made aware of the existence of a AHEPA branded military service medal. We acquired them. We have one for each of our veterans tonight of Greek and U.S. service, and we're going to present them shortly. But first, I'd like to introduce a few special guests, if I may ask, please, for the past Grand Presidents, Becky Damaris and Mary Burgess, to come forward, please. And ladies, if you'll find your seats on the front row here. I'd like to welcome District Governor of District 16, Jim Ratakis, as well as past Supreme President Anthony Kazunas and our Supreme President, Brother Elias. Gentlemen, if you would. Ask you to rise. Please remain standing for the Star-Spangled Banner delivered by our special guest this evening, Nicholas Connors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars thrill the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we once were so gallantly straining, and the rocket reclaimed the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still here. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And ask him, and you may join him in singing God Bless America. Nicholas, when you're ready.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night.
Please accept our thanks while I tell these folks that you're 14. And he's Pasadena, Texas, right? And I saw him sing at the Martin Luther King celebration 2 years ago when he was barely 13. And I said, I need to know who this young man is. He's just remarkable. Often appears at Rockets games. This is a young man that was, J.J. Watt was so impressed with his performance that he leapt onto the hard boiled to congratulate him. Nicholas, thank you very much. When we began planning this event, our first outreach was to the clergy here at Annunciation Reformed Cathedral. We were enchanted to find, I had to be reminded by past Supreme President, that these gentlemen were veterans. And I'm going to ask Father Michael to come up this evening, give some words of welcome, and give us the message that you'd like to share regarding our veterans in the United States.
Thank you, Doug. This is a wonderful program, a wonderful evening, and thank you for allowing me just to say a few words. We had a Veterans Day dinner actually last night, which is that our Goya puts on, where we serve the veterans of the parish, and it was our 6th annual Veterans Day dinner. And every year I try to get a guest speaker, and about 2 or 3 years ago we had Metropolitan Isaiah, who was a Marine veteran. He was in town, and I said, well, you're going to be our guest speaker. And he said, fine, and it happened. So we made a nice big 238th birthday cake for the Marine Corps, and took a few pictures. And he was so impressed with the parish's ability to do this Veterans Day program that he actually sent out a letter, an encyclical, to all the parishes of the metropolis that we are to, if we're able, all of the parishes, to put on a Veterans Day celebration, a dinner honoring those who have served. As I said last night to the young people, and I know there's a few young people here today, that as I look out in the parish each Sunday, I don't just see parishioners, I see living history. And when I actually get choked up sometimes thinking about the extraordinary things some of our veterans in our own parish have done. As I told the kids last night, we have everything from simple privates and corporals and sergeants all the way up to generals and prisoners of war and people that fought in great battles that we read about in history books. So I encourage the young people to don't just look past these older gentlemen and not get the chance to know them. That'd be a shame. So I encourage all of us to do the same thing. We live in a parish, and that includes the AHEPA chapter here, where we're a living history. And as we all know, World War II veterans are passing at a high rate because of their age, but we should get to know these men and women because they hold a lot of wisdom and they have much life experience. So that's really what I would pass on to the Brotherhood tonight, that we have a parish that is full of history, and we should get to know these individuals. One that I don't think he's here tonight, but I mentioned him last night. I've always been impressed with his story. John Pappas, he told me, so Father Michael, when I was 14, I lied about my age. And by age 15, I was fighting the Japanese in the Pacific in World War II. So that always stuck with me, and I think about where our society is today. I said, well, John, you probably couldn't lie about your age today at 14 and get in, and we were talking about that last night. But I think about where society was in the 1940s and where we are today, and when I look at somebody like John Pappas, or many of you gathered here this evening, that's what I think of. I think of a sacrificial life, and really that's the point of our Orthodox Christianity, or Christianity in general. Jesus Christ had sacrificial love, and that's exactly what I think veterans have when they serve our country. So thank you for being here, and thank you for putting on such a wonderful program. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce our Supreme President, Brother Delanis, but before I do that, I want to tell you that I've done some reading on you, sir. It's a very impressive pedigree. And because I was unable to commit it to memory, I'm going to do my best to bring it to life so these folks know of this wonderful dedication you've had in the Order of AHEPA, your many years of service, your professional success, and your family's wonderful success. A 47-year member, chapter number 43 in Milwaukee. You served at AHEPA in a number of leadership positions, most recently as Supreme Vice President and on the Board of Trustees. As AHEPA Supreme President, for those of you who are not members of the AHEPA family, Brother Glenn serves as the Chief Executive Officer and Principal Spokesperson of the entire AHEPA domain that is worldwide, which includes the United States, Canada, and chapters in Europe. And I believe we're at the 500 chapter level or approaching? 450. Well, that's amazing, and the impact this organization has had since its commencement. Our Supreme President is a founding partner of Galanis, Pollock, Jacobs, and Johnson, a Milwaukee-based law firm. He's a graduate of the University of Michigan Law School and received his undergraduate degree from the University of Wisconsin at Madison. He also attended the London School of Economics. Supreme President Galanis has served as president of several community and charitable organizations, including the Boys and Girls Club of Milwaukee and the Greater Milwaukee Foundation. He and his wife Patricia are members of the Annunciation Greek Orthodox Church in Milwaukee and have 3 children and several grandchildren. Four. That's an impressive brood, sir. Brother Galanis is an Archon of the Order of St. Andrew the Apostle from the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople. Please rise once again and welcome our Supreme President.
Thank you very much. I was in Houston about 10 years ago for one day. It was a board of directors meeting at a company I was involved with. But other than that, this is my really official visit to Houston. And I'm really honored to be here. I'm so impressed with your facility here. As I told Father, Z-level. Because I've seen quite a few churches. Some good ones, for example, you believe it or not, Las Vegas has a beautiful Greek Orthodox church. Boca Raton has a beautiful church. But I've been to Dallas, but I've never seen a complex this complete with such a high quality of materials and all the rest of it. It's a beautiful church, so you're to be congratulated. I must acknowledge past Supreme President Anthony Kazunas. I worked with him when he was Supreme President, and frankly, in some respects, I'm here because of my respect for Anthony. Fathers, I just have a few words. You know, you often wonder, why has AHEPA flourished for over 90 years? I don't know if you know this, but President Truman, President Roosevelt, and President Ford were all AHEPAs. And I think our longevity as an order is a function of our mission statement, which is to promote Hellenism, education, philanthropy, civic responsibility, family, and individual excellence. You know, Hellenism is the root of AHEPA, actually. You know, Alexander the Great spread Hellenism throughout the world, the known world, and left a legacy of Hellenic values, thinking, and institutions. He actually also laid the foundation of Christianity. You know, I once had a prominent Jewish man in my community come up to me and say, you know, I really respect Greece and Greeks. And I said, you know, he voluntarily came up, and I said, well, that's interesting. Why? And he said, because the Greeks civilized the world. That was an impression on me, and I remember it, and I like to tell the story. Anyway, Hellenism and all other aspects of our mission statement is part of part of my goals. One of the major focuses this year is the St. Nicholas Shrine in New York City. You know, at 9/11, I think there were over 100 Orthodox Christians that perished. And I believe there were 30 plus Greek Orthodox people that perished. Anyway, St. Nicholas was the only church destroyed with 9/11. And AHEPA has made a commitment to raise hopefully $1 million to support that treasure, which will be a treasure. It's being designed by Santiago Calatrava. I was in Greece about 5 months ago when I was at the hotel, and my wife said, "Isn't that Santiago Calatrava?" It was. And I know him because, or I knew what he looked like anyway, because he had just completed about 3 or 4 years ago an addition to our museum and in Milwaukee. And so I went up and I said, "How do you do? Why are you in Athens?" He said, "I am here to go to the marble quarry to pick out the marble that was used in constructing the Parthenon, and it's going to be used for the St. Nicholas Shrine." So there's some heroic or tremendous heredity here from our traditions, and that shrine will be a jewel, in my opinion, of the Greek Orthodox faith. I think they're going to have 1 million people a year visit that shrine. I have not seen the museum. I've been there, but not, obviously, I didn't go to the museum, but I'm told that it's spectacular. And we are right there. So that's why we have stepped up and tried to, do a major, make a major commitment. And I know your chapter is working in that regard. You know, our mission statement is important for us, no question, but the other thing that makes us viable and strong is we have a strong central headquarters in Washington, staffed by, actually at this point, only 4 people. Basil Mercedes is the executive director, and he does a great job. The other reason is we're chapter driven, and each chapter can do whatever it wishes, actually, consistent with our bylaws and the Constitution, but we don't tell chapters what to do. And obviously most of the chapters support the church in one way or another. And we are an ally of the church, and we have the daughters, which is with us, part of our family, which I feel very strongly represent a major part of the AHEPA family. But we're all part of a larger organization, as was indicated. We have 450 chapters, and we are very powerful as a group. For example, I went to Congress. I met with U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, who happens to be from my state, and he is in charge of Europe as a subcommittee chairman. And I also visited with 3 congressmen, Bilirakis, Sarbanes, and I forget the third, but the AHEPA receives so much respect, it's scary to me when I go around, because I just get treated like a king. For example, when the Archons had a meeting, I was there, and they acknowledged me, and then I was at the Archdiocesan Council meetings, and I was acknowledged, and the Archbishop wanted me to sit with him, and so forth. And when we went to Greece and Cyprus, the government officials and the embassies, we went there with a delegation, and we just were treated with great respect. You should know that we have about 26,000 people on our mailing list for our AHEPA magazine. And the daughters have a mailing list of 12,000. So we have a major presence in America. and internationally. You should know this. We have over 50 chapters in Europe, 31 in Greece, 14 in Canada, which is not Europe, but abroad, if you will. We have 8 in Cyprus. We have others in France, England, Germany, Romania, Bulgaria, and Constantinople. We just added Brussels. Now, this does not include the chapters that we're not, there's our sister chapter, we don't control them, we're not involved with them, but they're a sister organization, and that would be Australia and New Zealand. Which is sort of interesting because, you know, I went to Stuttgart, Germany for a convention of the German chapters, and of course I was treated with great interest and respect for AHEPA. But the AHEPA principles were to help immigrants in their foreign country, in their new country, to assimilate and become good citizens, and to protect against discrimination, because you can, all immigrants are discriminated against, not just Greeks. But we were discriminated against, and it started in Atlanta, and I think your chapter is number 29, which means you were the 29th chapter, and there was trouble with the Ku Klux Klan in the South. That's why it started. And it started in the South. That's why my chapter is 43. So what they did, our forefathers, if you will, they had a president, and they paid him to go around the country, and they created 150 chapters in 5 years. But the point is, Europe is where the Greeks of America were in 1930, for example. So the idea of AHEPA is taking hold, and I'm so proud that that we're able to help them in because they just love us in Europe. I think in about, I think that in about 5 years we'll probably have we'll double our chapters in Europe. For example, the gentleman that's been doing a lot of it in Europe tells me that he is going to form new chapters in Luxembourg, Zurich, Vienna, Sweden, and London. So I guess we're alive and well. We have problems and challenges just like anyone else. But I'd like to read a quote that George Bush said. The greatest gift of Greece to this country are the immigrants it has sent, men and women who enrich our nation with their spirit. They're the models of community and enterprise, of family, of education, and public service. Isn't it ironic that that's our mission statement? So anyway, those are my words. And he said, well, I won't go any further. But anyway, now, I think all of us want to live by our ideals. And I was going to go through and tell you what I've been doing all year, but I think I've said enough, because we want to honor the people, not me. So it's my pleasure to be here, and I thank you for your attention.
We have some more duties for you. I think you'll find them very enjoyable. It's so fitting that you mentioned the St. Nicholas Project, Ground Zero, and you have us call to action. I'm going to ask my chapter officers, Brother Burgess and Brother Manuel, to join me here, please. Brother Burgess and Brother Manuel, chapter officers, if you'll stand here. Because we're going to present a check for $10,000 for the St. Nicholas Project. Now, if you'll indulge the informality of this formality, if you'll step that way.
That way?
This kind, gentlemen, let's get right in here.
Is this the actual check?
Yes, it's but I don't know if they're going to let you complain with it.
I'll walk in the bank with it. Make a deposit.
about, let's let hang on just a second. Let's get this here in front of the AHEPA banner, and then we'll take it from there. Please. Thank you. This may go in the Orthodox observance.
Or more for Orthodox observer.
I'm waiting. When the darkness tell me they have it, I'll let these gentlemen get back in the seat.
Okay.
Your stewardship's paid up for the
All right, one more business before we get done.
Well, first of all, thank you very much.
These are the people that made it happen. I have to tell you, I must confess, it was an evening of scotch and whiskey and cigars that made it happen. And it was our first attempt, and there are a number of the people in this room, a number of the brothers in this room, we did make it an exclusive evening for the gentlemen that night. And the ladies were kind enough to give them the night off. And we had a spectacular night and raised a bunch of money and just had a spectacular time at the same time. So thanks so much. Now, would you still want to finish? Stand there. I'm going to put this over here.
Well, I was going to say that, this is really, I think this will prove to be a very important shrine in America. And it's a credit to the Greek community, and it's important that AHEPA be there. Because I don't know if you know this, but I think, I'm guessing here, but I would say 65% of all the churches in America were founded by AHEPAs. Now that's a rough guess, but we're very much involved with the church, and we're happy to do it.
Franco was there at the groundbreaking. I was there, I filmed it.
Oh, okay, great.
Stand by, we need some more help.
All right.
On behalf of Alexander the Great, Chapter 29, we have something that will fit nicely in your suitcase, and I'm going to make you something embarrassing and opening it right now. Nothing will leap out, but it does take a bit of explanation when you get it. I'll take that.
Well, everything in Texas is legal.
These cufflinks were created by Master Silversmith Max Lang. They are replicates of the state of Texas star that was worn starting with the Rangers, Texas Rangers in the late 1800s, and still adorn many official documents now. I hope you'll accept them with our gifts, and Rebecca reminds you of your trip to Houston.
Well, not only will I accept them, I'm going to wear them.
Yes. To help with the presentation. And I'm going to ask Pastor Supreme President Zeus to assist as well, because I don't know how this is going to go. I have an idea how it's going to go. Let me just check one thing. Did Perry Marvellis arrive? Perry's not with us? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, and esteemed guests and clergy, we have 25 AHEPA military veterans to salute tonight, who are both AHEPAs and soon to be AHEPAs. We made a decision that this particular courtesy would be extended to members of who served in the Greek Army, as well as the United States Army. So my capable assistant, Sophia, who I believe you met earlier this evening, assisted in this preparation. It has been an amazing effort to round everybody up because, to be honest, you were all far too bashful about your service. And it was tough tracking you down, and with the help of Father Michael, who gave us a good start, and some memories and some cross-checking, I think we have a pretty impressive list. Now, what I'm going to do is recognize, there's no particular order here, but I am going to recognize those who have served in the Greek Army first. I'm going to invite them to come up one at a time when I call their name. This is Steve Stavros Magoon, that's their new Greek name. And I'd like each of them to get a photo with the Supreme President. All right, so gentlemen, when I call your name, if you'll step up here, come around this side, and they will, let's start with Dennis Moustakis, Sergeant in the Greek Army, 1967, and also in Cyprus.
There we go. Now we got it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Κάνει και καλό παστίτσιο, Γιάννη.
Nikos Sangos, Greek Army captain in the Greek Civil War and in Korea as well. U.S. Service.
Ready, one?
Thank you, sir. Elias Kanatidis, Greek Army veteran, Artillery Division. Alexandros Sideris, Sergeant in the Greek Army, 1997. These are not in any particular order. They are the order that we found you. Father Michael Vargas, Navy Petty Officer Second Class in the Shield of Desert Storm. Presbyter Christopher Santos, United States Marine Corporal, in Iraq, 2005. Dean Gabriel, Petty Officer Third Class, Desert Shield, 87 to 91. Did I get that right?
It's very impressive to have all the clergy of veterans.
Yes.
I bet nobody could.
Brother James Athanasian, World War II Army Corporal.
Okay, one more, please. Thank you.
Brother Tom Pearson, Air Force, Navy Reserve, First Lieutenant in Korea. Brother Mike Pantazis, Army Corporal and a POW in Korea.
One more, please.
Brother Carl Gioka, Navy Lieutenant Commander, 1955 to 1958.
Okay, that's a good one. I need. Okay, on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Brother Gioka, would you stay here for just a moment? Would you remain just for a second as I introduce Peter Gioka, Corporal, United States Marine Corps, Afghanistan. Sergeant Alec Jelson, Korean veteran. Where are you, Brother Jelson?
One, two, three. One more, one more. Thank you.
Specialist Third Class John Kritikos, Korean War, Army 17th Infantry, 7th Division.
One more, please. Thank you.
Corporal William Crassus, Air Force, World War II. There he is.
Oh, yeah, good.
Very handsome, I gotta get that.
My photographs begin in Hollywood, but that's okay.
Navy Lieutenant Dr. Nick Chapels.
One more, please.
Sergeant, Spec 5, United States Army, Brother Mel Manuel, Vietnam.
No ad-libbing. No ad-libbing. Come on. Thank you.
Brother Chris Ramus, Navy veteran, Korean War. Brother Ramus, I'm going to ask you to help me clarify your rank, sir, in aviation.
Aviation, electronics, chief,
And an invaluable member of this chapter. Petty Officer, 3rd Class, United States Navy, World War II, Brother Gus Kanakis. Yeoman, 2nd Class, United States Navy, World War II, Pete Poulos.
Okay, right here, please. One, let's do another. Thank you.
Thank you. Master Sergeant, United States Air Force, Vietnam, Brother Ted Musavakis.
Okay, one more, please. One. Yes, thank you.
Corporal, United States Army, Korean War, Alex Katsafanis.
show this.
Thank you.
Second class torpedo man from the United States Navy in World War II and Korea, Emil Pappas.
One more, please. Thank you.
United States Army infantryman, World War II, 1945, Dr. Nick Patsakis. It is my hope and prayer that I have not left anyone out. Have I? The only other person I had on board was my Mrs. Oh, Timon, please come up and forgive me. We skated in under our line. Please come right in. Let me properly introduce you, sir. Would you give me your rank and your year of service?
1969,
In which
in
month?
Kosovo, Pata.
In Kosovo, Pata. You're going to give me the tough one this second.
Technical division of the U.S. Aircraft.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I apologize for the oversight.
1969.
Thank you.
One more, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Supreme President. Thank you, Supreme President Kuzunis. Our evening is just about wrapping up. We have the photographer with some more time. If there are some photos that you would like to have of your family members or with the Supreme President, I'm sure he will indulge you. But I do want to make just a couple of closing remarks. There's no shortage of quotes about military service and about victory and conquest. But two struck me, and I want to close with them. Secret of happiness is freedom. The secret of freedom is courage. Thucydides. When our perils have passed, shall our gratitude sleep? The answer is no. That's Michel de Montaigne, French officer. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very grateful for your attendance this evening. We'll close with a couple of very brief comments because I know there's baklava waiting, wine. Gregory Doxakis, many of whom you knew his father and his mother Donna, who's such an active member of the original Greek festival team, was kind enough to donate a couple of fine bottles of brandy. One, I'm sure you'll recognize. The other is a slightly different level of sophistication in its flavor and taste. I urge you to take your pick and toast those who have fallen. It's located right over here. I encounter many members of the HEOC family and at the little local tavern I call Theo's up the road as well. And I often find myself, when I begin to tell people about AHEPA, challenged to explain what it's all about. And I'm going to tell you, folks, it's evenings like this that explain what it's all about. But more importantly, our Supreme President toured. How many did you see today of the AHEPA projects?
Five.
So we have 6 projects, 2 from the Daughters of Penelope and 4 from AHEPA that service the low-income seniors of this city of all races and nationalities and ethnicities. And it's a remarkable project. In just 6 or 8 short weeks, the Educational Foundation will host its Christmas Gala. We have been fortunate enough to donate in the range of $40,000 to $50,000 in scholarships every year. There are men and women in this room that make that happen. They had a meeting earlier today. It's not a question of what AHEPA does. The question is, how can I help? That's what I want to hear. Thank you very much. Brandy, coffee, soft drinks, fellowship. Good night.